Smartphones are about as fast as anyone really needs these days, so it's all about other aspects such as battery life and camera. Despite chip makers and software vendors optimizing their wares for extended battery life, the simple fact is that we use our phones way more than we ever did before. Increasingly bigger, higher resolution and higher refresh rate screens on phones nowadays make it feel like it is impossible to improve battery life. Charging is improving though. It's getting faster and more convenient, but phones' batteries themselves are not lasting any longer. But you can make some adjustments here and there to help you squeeze out every last bit of juice. Here are 7 efficient tips to extend Android smartphone battery life without making your phone unusable. Let's go. If we can hit 10 likes on this video, I'll do another video for improving battery life on iOS too. Tip number 1. Find out what is using your phone's battery. Before you can fix any poor battery life issues, you need to know what's causing the battery to die prematurely in the first place. A good place to start is in Android settings, battery menu, where you can get a health report on whether your apps are running normally. If anything is draining a large amount of power in the background, you will be warned here. You can also check battery usage to see which apps are using most battery recently. You will see a full breakdown of services and a graph that shows you how the battery has depleted and how long is left based on the current usage pattern. Tip number 2. Turn on adaptive battery. Head to settings, press battery, go to adaptive battery and slide the toggle to enable adaptive battery. This Android Pie introduced feature prevents any apps that you do not use frequently from draining an excessive amount of power in the background. This is a good way to optimize battery life in newer phones. For power mode, this is my preferred setting. I use medium power saving, but I will not restrict CPU speed and I will prevent apps from running in the background. Tip number 3. Stop apps running in the background. Don't worry if you don't have Android Pie. Even if you are not running Android Pie and don't have access to adaptive battery, you can do a check on what apps are running in the background and kill off any that don't need to be in the multitasking menu. Just press this button and swipe out those apps you think is not necessary to be running in the background. In older phones like this one, there will be a dedicated button next to the home button to do this. Do note that force closing an app is only actually helpful if you're not going to relaunch it moments later, since it uses more power to reopen that app than it saves by killing its background processes. Tip number 4. Turn on always on display. We've been seeing various phone makers including always on displays in their smartphones for a while now, but in most recent versions of Android, it's a standard feature known as glance view. In essence, it displays the time, date and notification icons on the screen when it is off, using a minimal amount of battery power to do so, but also reducing the need for you to constantly wake the screen to see whether you have any new notifications or to check the time. You can enable your always on display if your phone supports it like this. Go to settings, then lock screen, then turn on always on display. If you have an older device such as the Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge Plus, you can check out my first ever video on this channel for a link to get the feature on that phone. Tip number 5. Reduce the screen brightness and turn off adaptive brightness. The cheapest phones can have completely dull displays, but the best phones reach levels of brightness that can actually hurt your eyes. This is useful when you're using the phone in direct sunlight, but at other times it's overkill and drains your phone's battery. You can reduce the screen brightness in your phone's pull down notification bar or somewhere in your settings. While you're in this menu, also disable adaptive brightness. You might think this feature will help battery life by raising the screen brightness only when required, but it's easily fooled by indoor lighting and moreover takes all control out of your hands. Tip number 6. Reduce the screen resolution. Not all phones allow you to adjust the screen resolution, but Samsung's flagships are notable for the fact that they are fitted with Quad HD Plus displays and actually default to the Full HD Plus option. This is to reduce battery drain with less power required to push to all those pixels. You can even go down to HD Plus if you like. The resolution doesn't really make a big difference to me, so I keep my screen resolution to HD Plus. Check your screen resolution settings on a Samsung phone by going to Settings, then Display, then Screen Resolution. Tip number 7. Turn on dark mode for apps that support it. Apps such as YouTube, WhatsApp, Instagram and more have this feature now, which will turn the background of these apps from white to black. This can save a significant amount of battery. Do note that this feature will only be effective on phones with OLED screens and not those with LCD panels. This is because OLED panels can turn off individual pixels to have a black color, while LCD panels have a backlight that cannot turn off at some parts of the screen. This is also easier on your eyes when viewing these apps at night or in a dark room. That's all I have for now. Comment down below your own tips that you use to save your phone's battery life. Also, don't forget to subscribe for more tech tips and content. See you in the next video. Bye.